Hello guys, and welcome to the reinstallation video of a Honda Civic 2001 to 2005 engine and transmission setup. This is episode 3, guys. In the first episode, we took the motor out. In the second episode, we removed the old motor from the transmission and the subframe and put the transmission and put the new motor and put it back on the subframe. And this is episode 3, where we're gonna install this back into this car. Don't worry guys, this is a Honda Civic. It's a Canadian model Acura EL, but it actually has the same body, same motor, same transmission, everything's the same. So don't worry about that, you are watching the right video. So in this video, we're gonna put this motor back into this car, starting right now, everybody. Okay guys, in case you haven't watched part 1, so we got the car really high, and the way we got this set up is, and you're doing everything at your own risk, guys. So you know, we got some tires here with some boards, and then we got these jacks, which we can lift the car up or down to take some boards out and lower it if we need to, and we still have the ability to raise it even more. So what we need to do now is, that's how we got it set up. We need to basically drive this motor through here underneath there with the subframe, but we gotta have this chain set at the right length, so this will clear right in here. Makes sense, right guys? So okay, so I'm gonna disconnect the chain now. This whole thing is sitting on these red arms, and this has wheels on it, so I can just literally drive that under. So I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, first I'm disconnecting the chain. I'm still gonna leave it on the engine because I got it hooked up in pretty good spots. I got one end of it right here on the alternator bolt, right there, and then the other side of the chain. See, this is kind of important. See, I got it going on this side of the motor mount, not on that side, because then the chain would push on all this plastic stuff, right? So I got it going on that side, and in here I got it just around that bolt, and that seems to lift it pretty good. I mean, they are kind of wobbly, but it does lift it. So okay, I'm gonna disconnect it right there, and we're gonna drive this thing in. Okay, so now that we got the motor underneath, as you can see, so what we got to do now is we got to extend this arm a little bit, and we kind of slid the motor forward on these arms. It's basically almost at the end of them. So we're going to take this thing, and we got to put it back out to 1.5 tons. So the chain is like in the middle here, and we're going to connect that chain just for safety reasons, so the motor has no chance of falling over or tipping over. So we're gonna do that next, right now. All right guys, so I got the chain hooked up, so we're just getting it tight. Like, we're not gonna try to fully lift this thing up, but we want it to be, you know, like, so we can slide it around and move it. See, there you go. See, it's kind of going up. Okay, that should be good. So now we'll be able to maneuver this around, you know, try to get it where it's got to be. So I'm going to line everything up so it's good. So, like, you know, these line up roughly with where they got to go. And then we'll go from there. Okay, I got everything positioned pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. So now what we got to do is we're going to get rid of these 2 jacks out of here. So we just have to remove maybe a board on this side, just so it's all even, something like that. We're gonna do 3 boards on the other side. We should be able to lower the whole entire car quite a bit. So I'll do that on both sides, and I'll remove these jacks. Okay, jacks are out, which gives us even more room to work. So now we're basically gonna start pumping this up, and we're gonna try to get this motor high enough so we can catch the frame, you know, there, right there, like it just bolts in, right? So that's our goal. We're gonna get this up and bolt it up, and then we're good. And then once we have it bolted up, though, you can't just release the tension off of that. you do have to throw a jack at the front of the car right here, because the way we got it sitting, right, it could have the teeter-totter effect. Those are pretty far back, so it will need a jack if we release that. I hope I'm making sense. You guys really should watch part 1. If you're only watching part 3, watch part 1 and part 2. It'll all make way more sense to you. You'll be professional engine puller in your backyard by watching these. Okay, let me continue now. Okay guys, so I mean, as you can see, I got it going up. I even threw in the ball joints here, see, so things would start really lining up. You know, with every pump of this thing, you know, you're moving wires, you're checking, making sure nothing's getting squashed or anything. See how close we are here? That just has to go a little bit up. Like, we might even have to use a jack here to jack this, but like, the back's pretty much lined up. It's hard to show this in a video, guys, but it's working. The motor's definitely going up. So I'm gonna get it up a little bit higher, put those 4 main bolts in to get the subframe attached. And then once I got that attached, I'll get back to you guys and I'll show you that, and then we'll decide what to do with this. Like, I'll show you guys the process. Okay guys, so in the end, I mean, everything worked out, just so you guys get some ideas if you're doing this. So we ended up getting a block, a jack. We still always had this on for safety purposes, and that really made the difference of being able to really move this around. So yeah, we got it attached, got all 4 of the bolts in, which I'm very happy about. So just gotta get those ones in still right there, see, 1 on each side. You know, attach all the motor mounts and everything, which we're gonna do tomorrow, but still in the same video. It's actually Canada Day right now, and it's pitch black, guys.
Oh, you got the motor in, Tom, already?
I sure did, buddy. Took all day, I guess, but should be just a few more hours tomorrow.
Guess you know your stuff after all. Never doubted you anyways, though.
Just one more thing before I wrap it up for today. So I really want to close the hood in case it rains or something. So I'm going to remove this red cherry picker thing. As long as this jack is here for now, we can remove this. And remember, guys, like I said, these are too far back to just have it on those with the motor in there. You would know that if you watched part 1. So we're going to remove that. We're going to leave this. And tomorrow we're going to continue, guys. Okay guys, so this is how we got it set up now. So the front's kind of balanced. Yes, we will be lowering it soon, but since we got it up at a good level right now, the next thing we're doing is we're gonna put both the drive axles in. So I'll show you how to do that really quick. So the first thing you gotta do, guys, is right inside of here, you wanna take your finger and you just wanna kind of make sure there's not like a little stone or a little rock or something, right? You just double check it. If there is anything, you clean it out. So ours is good. Everything looks good in it. Feels right. Okay, so that's ready for the drive axle. Okay, and then as far as the drive axle goes, so what you got to do is you got to get a rag and you got to clean this all really, really good. Make sure there's no rocks or stones or anything on it. So we're going to clean it really, really nice. Okay, so now I got some manual transmission oil. This is not the right oil for this car, but I haven't went to the store yet and bought any. So what you got to do is you got to put some on here like this. See, just like that. And then you're also going to put some on your finger, and you're going to put some inside of there so it's nice and oiled up, just like that. I apologize if you can't see. Okay, so this thing is ready. So now what we're gonna do is, see, we got this ball joint in here just so nothing gets damaged. Otherwise, you know, you can cut your boot up or whatever. So it's on there loose. So we're gonna take this out, and then we're gonna get our buddy Ryan here. So I'll set that all up. Okay, so I got that disconnected. So Ryan, the guy holding the camera, he's gonna grab this, and he's just gonna hold it like this out of the way for us, just like that. While he's doing that, we're gonna slide the drive axle in. Okay guys, so there's the drive axle going in. So it should snap into place where you can't pull it back out. If that doesn't happen, you gotta there we go. See, now I try to pull it out. Can't pull it out without a crowbar. That means she's in. Okay guys, so there it is. So now that he's got this pulled back, right? Now we can take this, pull it back a little bit more. And that goes right in there like so. Okay. He's just like that. Boom. One drive axle in. Thanks to my buddy Ryan here.
That's what I'm here for.
Okay, now the other drive axle. Boom!
Pop goes the weasel.
Okay guys, I'm about to pop the other drive axle in, but I figured, you know what? Might as well change the oil filter while I'm down here. So I'm gonna quickly change that. And it has a Honda one on it. So probably maintained at the dealer, this motor. So I'm very happy with this motor. Okay, I'm gonna pop the new one on, and then we're gonna pop this drive axle in, because I'm not happy with the other video. You couldn't really see good of the other side. Okay, she's going in on the other side now. I think you can see better what's going on here. Boom! Just like that. Same thing. Can't pull it out, then we're good. Okay. Okay guys, next we put the ball joint bolt on, and it goes to 43 foot-pounds all the way to 51. So we can go in between the two. So we got it. And then the reason they give you two measurements is because in case, you know, you tighten it to 43 and the little hole doesn't line up for the cotter pin, right? Then you can go all the way to 51, you know, to turn it just enough to get the cotter pin in, guys. So ours is good now, so we're gonna put this cotter pin in and we're good to go, guys. Okay, we got both ball joints done. Next is the drive axle hub nut. This one goes to 134 foot-pounds, and then you're bending it in with a hammer right there so it doesn't unbolt on you. If you're missing a chunk out of this from, you know, it being bent 100 times, then you need to replace this nut. You should replace it anyways, but in our case, there's lots of meat left there, so we're just gonna bang that in, and then that's done. Okay guys, next we're putting this exhaust back on. Pretty straightforward. 2 bolts in the front, 3 bolts in the back, and we're gonna plug in this oxygen sensor and the front one. So I'm gonna do that right now. Okay guys, the exhaust is on. As you can see, everything's looking good here. So our next move is we're gonna lower this car now. So we're gonna put a jack on each side, just like before. One there, one on the other side. And we're slowly gonna, you know, lift it a little bit, take out a few boards, lower it, change the boards on the jacks, and then we'll lift it again. Eventually we wanna just have it sitting on one tire and maybe like 2 boards. That's what we're trying to get it to. So I'm gonna do that off camera. I'm gonna lower this. Remember guys, safety first. Don't want a car falling on you and killing you. I like using tires and boards because it's very sturdy. Even if, you know, it's windy or you bump into the car, it is sturdy this way. Okay, I'm gonna lower that right now. Okay, so we got it a lot lower. 1 tire and a couple boards. We still got the jack in the front to balance it. We put a smaller board. Everything's looking good. So what we're doing next, guys, is we're gonna put on, we're gonna move this compressor for the air conditioning all the way over into that hole over there. And we're gonna put this fan on right now. It just kind of slides in the bottom. And then up here, you got a couple screws. Yeah, that fan right there. So I'm gonna put that fan on. And then once the fan is on, we're gonna plug in the plug and everything. And then we're gonna put this compressor on, 4 bolts, big long bolts like that. No big deal. So I'm gonna do all that off camera and I'll get back to you when that's done. Okay guys, the fan is in. And the compressor is in. Everything's looking super duper good. I'm very happy with that. Okay, next we're gonna take this cover here. So that cover goes onto here. This is for the clutch, right? So we're gonna get that on. And also we're gonna install this guy here. See, that just goes like that, right? No big deal. So we're gonna put that on. This goes right in there. And then this part here, it's like bracket or whatever. See, that just goes into this spot. I'm gonna put all that together and show you what that looks like right now. Okay guys, so there it is. Got this boot on, the clutch cylinders on, got this bracket attached. Everything's looking super good there. So next we're gonna attach the shifting cables. So these basically just pop on like this, right? We're gonna grease everything up with some bearing grease, and then this just goes on like that. And then there's 1, 2, 3 bolts. Putting this on, right? You throw these on, and then on top of those, right, you would put that on, and then that goes on, and then there's a little clip that goes in there. Okay guys, so there it is, all done. As you can see, we got a little clip on there. Everything's greased up. Got both of these on, got those bolts on. So there's your shifter cables, 100% connected. Okay, let's move on. All right, so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna put the starter on, guys. There's only 2 bolts holding it. Super easy, they're both the same length. So that just goes right in there, and then we're gonna tighten it up. So we're gonna do that right now. Okay, the starter is on. So next we're gonna move on to the alternator. So here's the alternator. So what you gotta do here, guys, is you take a 12 millimeter, you're gonna loosen this thing like so. And you gotta get this adjuster here. Like, you're gonna have to basically unscrew this, clean it with a wired brush, put some, Antifreeze all over it. You want to get this to a point, like, see, right now there's no way we can turn this without using pliers. So I'm gonna unscrew this, clean it all, do all that, and I'll show you what it should look like before you put this back on. So I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, so we got everything cleaned up, anti-seize. See, that's what that should turn like. So that's what we're doing there. So this thing's basically ready to go on. So I'll show you in the car really quick. Okay, so in the car, see, the alternator is gonna go right there, but see, you can't get this bolt out enough. See what I mean? You have to take this little bracket off. So we're gonna remove this bracket so it's not in the way. And then we can pull this back enough for the alternator to fit in there. So we're gonna do that right now, guys. And then the other bolt for it, just down here, it goes right there. Okay, I'm gonna put this on, guys, right now. Okay, guys, so we got this thing finger tight right now. So the next move is to put the belt on. There's 2 belts, one for this and one for that power steering pump. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put that belt on, then we're gonna spin this thing here. See, it spins easy now. We're gonna get it all tight. Once it's tight, we're gonna tighten that 1 bolt there, and we're gonna tighten this bolt here, and then that's done. And that's what we're gonna do right now, guys. And then we're moving on to this thing, to the power steering pump. Okay, so we got the belt on, and I basically kept tightening that with my fingers, almost to the point where it was like hard to tighten it with my fingers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm only using my fingers. So let me show you underneath here. See, there it is. And I mean, you should be able to kind of twist it, but it's pretty tight. So, I mean, if your belt's squeaking, then you're gonna have to put it tighter, but I'm gonna leave it there. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna tighten this nut here, right? And that will lock the tensioner. So we're gonna tighten this one. We're gonna tighten that one because it's still loose. So those 2, and up top here, we're gonna tighten that one there, and then the alternator is done. So I'm gonna do that, leave that out of the video, and that's done. Okay, alternator is on, looking beautiful, everything's good. Okay, now we're moving on to this guy here. So we did the same thing. We took the tensioner apart, see, and we got everything working super good. So it's all just, you can do it with your fingers, right? Same with the bolts. So basically, there's a bolt here that holds it, no big deal, right? And there's a nut on the other side, and then the whole tensioner thing goes right here, and this reservoir goes in right here. So I'm gonna put this on and show you guys what that looks like. I'll do that right now. Okay, so kind of same thing as the alternator. See, we got this thing finger tight. We're gonna throw the belt on now, and then we'll be able to tighten the belt, right? Okay, I'll just do that right now really quick, put the belt on. Okay, so as you can see, the belt is on, and now with every turn, see this whole thing's going up and the belt's getting tighter and tighter. So what we're gonna do, guys, is just keep turning that swing nut till the belt is tight. And once it's tight, I'm gonna do that right now, tighten it up. Okay, there it is. I mean, she's tight. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna tighten this nut here so it locks it, and also using a wrench. I don't know if you can see it, but there's another one there. So we're gonna tighten both of those, and then that's done, guys. So I'm gonna leave that out of the video, tighten that, and then we're moving on, guys. And I mean, I'm sweating out here. So throw me a subscription, I'll appreciate it. And it benefits you because in the future, if you search some kind of video about something else and I happen to work on it, then it'll just take you to it if you're already subscribed. So that's why you should subscribe. Okay, guys, let me show you what we're doing next now. So now we're gonna take this whole wiring harness and we're gonna slowly start plugging every single thing in. We're gonna run it to the alternator. We're gonna run it on that side of the timing belt. We're gonna hook everything up. If you get stuck, you just look off of your old motor here, and we got everything labeled so we can easily figure it out. If you really wanted to, you could transfer all these to the other motor, but I'm just gonna look off of this one. So I'm gonna do that right now, guys. If there's any weird complications, I'll take you through it. Okay, it's been a few minutes. So we got this on, pretty straightforward. Once you get this on, obviously, you know, that goes to the alternator. There's a plug, and it goes on the other side, on the side of the alternator. And then all these just kind of start lining up. So you don't tighten these bolts yet, because right here, you're gonna have to lift this in order to get this part on. So now we're gonna put this on, so it just plugs in. There's a few plugs there. And then same things, whatever's left over, you know, one will go there. It all kind of starts coming together. So I'm gonna do this now. Those ones here go on the side there, and if you're confused about that, watch the first episode where I take the engine out. Okay, guys, I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, guys, as far as I can tell, this whole harness is connected. You know, we got all these little brackets on, everything's clipped in. You definitely want to do your wiring harness first before you do any of your hoses here, because you got to run things underneath. So yeah, everything's good to go now. It took me about an hour to hook up every single plug. No big deal. There's only one plug left, which hooks up to the airbox. You know, everything's hooked up in there, at the back, at the bottom. These are all plugged in. Okay, next we're gonna unscrew these screws, or these nuts here, and the throttle cable is gonna go on there like that, and we're gonna connect the throttle cables to this. So we'll hook up these next. I'll do that right now, guys. Okay, so the throttle cable is on, right? We got it attached there, and then it goes underneath, see? There's like a bracket there that holds it in place, and then these cables go underneath, right? And then they hook into this. So that was pretty straightforward. Yeah, see this bracket here. Okay, next, guys, we're gonna connect the two gas lines. One just slides on right here like so. The only thing is we're not gonna use this kind of clamp anymore. We're gonna use these ones. We're basically gonna use this on everything that we connect from now on. Well, I'll show you, but for the gas line, we're gonna use this one. And then the other gas line, this just clips in, and then it gets like a cover. So I'll put that on and I'll show you what that looks like. So that's the next thing we're doing. Okay, so we got this on, and yes, we ended up using this type of clamp. The other one was too big. And I mean, yes, factory, they have these. But the thing with these is, yes, from the factory, these work, they hold enough. This is just a return line, so it's not high pressure anyways, but when these get old and everything gets old and kind of corrody, it can leak there. I've had that happen many times on people's vehicles. So I always change them to these type of clamps, And this just slid in like that. And then we just put this like locking thing over top of it. And that is it, guys. And that's on there now. That ain't going nowhere. And of course, you know, once you get it running, check all this for gas leaks. Super, super important, guys. Make sure it's not leaking. Okay, we're moving on. Okay, so next we're gonna move on to all the coolant lines. So same thing on the coolant lines, right? We're not gonna use these clamps anymore. They just won't hold. There is corrosion on things, right? So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna take a knife and cut a little bit of this off, slide it on, and we're gonna put these type of clamps on that, on this, so it just doesn't leak. There's also a cooling hose. It's hard to see, but there's one in the back that plugs into the motor. So we're gonna connect all those with the new clamps. Anything that we didn't disconnect, like on the rad, we never disconnected that. We're just gonna leave it as is. It's all sealed, it's good, it never leaked. But here, if I just put this on, it would leak. So I'm gonna do all that. But before I do that, see all this corrosion on here? So we're gonna get some sandpaper and we need to clean this completely off. We're not gonna cut this hose, it's good. We're just gonna put it on and clamp it, but we're gonna clean all the corrosion off anywhere that there is some. Here there isn't any. So I'm gonna clean all that really, really good so it's perfectly smooth. Otherwise it will leak. So we'll do that one. We'll do the bottom hose as well, same thing. And then we're gonna put on new clamps. So I'm gonna do all that right now, put this together, show you what that looks like. Okay, so there you go. See, that's what those should look like right there. You know, I did cut a little bit of this off. Like I said before, like it's just so squished in here. I don't want it to cut or break there. So this way, right, I can put it on and then the new clamp can just go on a little bit further so it's fresh. You know, be careful because if you cut it too much, then it might be too short and then you have to replace your hose. This one we're not going to cut because it's barely indented. We might just try to slide on as far as it'll go and put the clamp kind of just right up to there. Okay, I'm going to put all these hoses together now. Okay, hoses are on. As you can see, that's what all those should look like. Okay, everything's looking super good here, guys. We're moving on to the battery. Pretty straightforward. So we're going to put the battery in. We're going to hook up the positive, but we're not going to hook up the negative yet. We'll do that right at the end. Okay, guys, the battery is in. So now you get some sandpaper and these battery terminals. See, this is what they got to look like. They got to look like that, not like that. So you sand them a bit. That way you get a good connection. And then you're going to get some dielectric grease. You're going to put some of that on. That way they don't corrode. They're on good. You put those on and you tighten it up. So like I said, we're just going to do the positive for now. The absolute last thing we're doing in this car is hooking up the negative terminal. Okay, the battery is in. Okay, so now what we're going to do, guys, is this splash shield here. That just goes up there. It's just, you know, like clips that clip in to put it on. So we're going to put this on next. That is our next step while the car is up. So I'm doing that right now. Okay, so we got the plastic splash guard on. Our next move is to make sure that this drain plug for the transmission is tight. So you got to make sure that. Also, the radiator drain plug, which is right here, make sure that's tight. And your engine oil drain plug, make sure that's tight. So we're going to tighten all those, double check them. These hub nuts, we tightened them. My buddy was here, so they're good to go. So we're going to do all that. We're going to put the wheels on, guys, on the front, and we're going to lower the car. So that is our next move. Okay, guys, we got the car level now. We tightened the wheels to 80 foot-pounds on each lug nut. So right in here, on like the drive axle, the right drive axle, see, right there, see, is it like a nut? You see it? I'm going to zoom in on it for you. So that's where you fill your transmission. So what you have to do, it's tough to get in there, obviously, so you're gonna unscrew that. So we'll do that. Okay, so right here is the fluid that you need. Manual transaxle fluid, Honda manual transaxle fluid, MTF or equivalent. So guys, basically what you got to do here is you got to call your Honda dealership and you just buy the oil from Honda. In our case, we went to the Acura dealership because it's closer, because our car is an Acura EL, which is also a Honda Civic. Same motor, same transmission, same body, everything's the same. The bumpers and lights are a little different, right? But it is the same car. See, so here's the fluid we got. They just happened to be closer, so I went to them. But see, it even says Honda right on it, guys, as you can see. Okay, so, and it does say in this book here that equivalent also works. But in your case, just go to Honda if you're working on a Honda. Okay, guys, so in order to put these in, you're going to need some kind of setup like this. Basically, a funnel with some kind of, you know, hose at the end. See, the only thing is, this thing has to be 100% spotless clean. There can't be any dust in it or anything. If there is, you're gonna have to wash it really good with like Varsol, fully dry it before you use it. So, this is what you need. Okay, so we took that plug out. That's what it looks like. See, it's pretty thick. So now into that hole, we're gonna stick that hose in there from our homemade funnel. Okay, we got the hose running into the transmission. Let's start filling this, guys. These are 1 liter jugs. So you basically fill it till it starts coming out the hole with the car level. Okay guys, so it started coming out the hole. See what I mean? It's hard to see now because it's coming out super slow, but see, it's coming out. So that means it's full. So in this book here, see, for the Civic, right there, manual transaxle, drain and fill is 1.6 quarts, 1.5 liters. And guess what, guys? That is exactly what went in. A full one of these and half of this one. So 1.5 liters is all you're gonna need, just 2 of these bottles, guys. Okay, I'm gonna close that cap now and we're moving on. Okay guys, transmission is filled. Now we're moving on to the motor oil. So this car takes 5W20. We already put a new filter on. Make sure your drain plug is tight. Here's the filter number in case you're interested. Okay, so let's do that right now. Okay, so here are the 3 different engines for the Civic that we're working on. There's a VTEC, non-VTEC, right? So it tells you the amount of oil that it needs. So it's either 3.5 liters, there it is in quarts, or 3.2 liters, here it is in quarts. If you don't know which engine you have, just put in 3.2, right? Check it and then decide if you need to put a little bit more. Okay, so we're gonna fill this thing up with engine oil right now. Obviously pretty straightforward. You just open this and you pour it in there. You know, not the whole container because that's 5 liters. Okay, I'll do that right now. Okay guys, engine oil is filled up. Everything's looking great here. So now we're gonna move on to filling the antifreeze up, guys. We're gonna fill the antifreeze. Okay guys, so the Civic 2005 and earlier manual transmission takes about 4 liters, right? And then 2005 and earlier automatic transmissions just takes a little bit less, as you can see, 3.9. There it is in quarts for you American audience. Okay guys, and as far as type goes, so we got engine coolant, right? 50-50 mix, Honda all-season antifreeze, type 2 or equivalent. So in our case, we're just using this kind of antifreeze. It says all vehicles on it, 10-year, good stuff. I've used it many times, never had any issues. So we're just gonna use this. So now the only thing that people don't even know, but this is concentrated, see? Concentrate. So what that means is you have to pre-mix this before you put it in. They do that for whatever reason, but see on the back of it, right here, see it shows you how to mix it. So they called for 50-50, right, in the book. So 50-50, that will be good for up to minus 37 Celsius or minus 34 Fahrenheit, right? So that's what you would put. If you live like in Canada, like we live, you're gonna mix it more antifreeze, a little bit less water, 40-60, so it's good up to minus 52 because it does get that cold here sometimes. So we're gonna mix it 60-40, and what you mix it with, guys, you do not use tap water, guys. You have to get deionized water, guys. It looks like this. It's for radiators and batteries. See, this is what you mix it with so it never corrodes. So you buy this in the shelves. It's right next to this stuff here. So what you're gonna do is you're basically, see, we got ourselves an empty container, which I saved from a previous time. See, so that would be about half of it, right? So half water, half antifreeze would be 50-50. But in our case, we put a little bit less water. We'll fill the rest with this concentrate antifreeze, and that'll give us a mix of 40% water, 60% antifreeze. Okay, so I'm gonna put that in there right now. Okay, now you give it a good shake to mix it up. Okay, so the first thing you would do is fill this reservoir here. So you can kind of see down there, it shows you minimum, maximum, that kind of thing. You can see it, it's hard to see on camera, but it's down there. But in our case, we never even took this out or anything, so the fluid's right where it's supposed to be in this. So you take off this rad cap. Okay, and you just start filling this thing. So towards the end, you just keep filling it until it's basically, it won't take anymore. Okay guys, so it basically took the whole thing. There's a little bit left. See, that's how you want it. And then what you're gonna do, we're not done with this. There's still some more process to this once the cars are running. So for now, you're just gonna close this lightly, not all the way, just like that, so it's loose. Okay, so we will get back to the antifreeze part. All right, we're getting close now. So next we're gonna put these boxes on, these air boxes. So first we're gonna put this one on. So this thing would go on to here. We just gotta take that tape off, right? This comes off. I just put this on here so nothing would get in the motor, you know, when I was working on it, right? And then so that part would go onto that. You gotta tighten that clamp. And then this here, remember that I said there was a wire left over, so that will plug into that. So I'm gonna put that on right now first. Okay, got that on. So it kind of went down, tighten that clamp underneath, right? One bolt there, one bolt there, and that's how that stays in place. Next we're putting this guy on. It's got the same length bolts basically, and there's 4 of them. So this thing is just gonna go right in here. I mean, it just comes together, guys. Okay, we got that box on. There's basically screw down there, there, and 2 there, pretty straightforward. Next we're putting this thing on. Also pretty straightforward, it just kind of goes in there, right? And then there's gonna be a bolt going right onto that. This thing's gonna click into this hole, and all we're gonna have left after that is to hook up the battery, guys. And remember, we still gotta do stuff with the radiator to fill it properly. Okay, I got this part on, and honestly, this part took longer than both of those parts, so I actually highly recommend putting the battery in last. Now that I'm over here, it would have been a lot easier with the battery out, or just take your battery back out. Anyways, our last step is we're gonna hook this up and tighten it up and everything, and we're gonna double check everything, make sure there's oil, make sure not, you know, the plugs are tight for the oil, for the transmission, you know, make sure nothing's leaking. And we're about to turn the key and see if she's gonna start. Okay, battery's hooked up. One more thing we gotta do, guys. The fuel pump relay's got to go back in. It's just the middle one here. Okay, guys, here goes nothing. Let's turn the key and see if she starts. And remember, we still got to do the antifreeze thing. It's alive! Okay, so now quickly, see, it took some antifreeze. We're just gonna top that up again. Okay, now we loosely put the cap back on. Okay, now we gotta take it for a ride. Okay guys, so now we don't want the engine to get too hot right now. So what we're gonna do is, we're putting the heat on max. And what you wanna do is we're just gonna go for a drive like down the street and back. Literally, it's gonna be a 45-second drive, and then we're gonna pull back in here. And this should start blowing heat if your thermostat is good. Okay, let's start with that. So I'll do that right now. Okay guys, we're pulling back in, literally 40-second drive. She's already blowing heat. So once it's blowing heat like this, then you know that most likely your air is out of your system, if there was any air in the system, because it's going through your heater core. Okay, let's go outside. Okay, so I mean, the car is pretty warm, but see, we never had this on fully. If the car is hot, fully hot, do not open this. This will blow up in your face and give you third-degree burns. But in our case, there's no pressure in it. So we're gonna open it up. See, and now we have the ability to start the car, top it up, and then we're gonna close this fully tight, and then we'll take it for another ride, and this time we'll actually get the whole car hot. You know, and make sure the heater's working so you don't have air in the system. And then once the car cools down, so you're gonna have to give it like a half an hour, you're gonna open up the cap and you can top it up again. Get it? But don't open it hot. So that is the process, guys. Okay guys, so what you're gonna do is for the next week, you're gonna check the oil every single day, guys, on this car. Make sure it's topped up. You're gonna check for gas leaks every single day. You're gonna start it, make sure it's not leaking gas on anything that you plugged in or unplugged. You're gonna check for antifreeze leaks. You have to keep an eye on everything. You might wanna put a piece of cardboard on the ground, park it over top of a piece of cardboard. That way if anything is leaking, you're gonna notice it. Okay guys, thanks for watching Problem Solver Garage. Please subscribe, it will help me out. I got lots of videos about everything. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.